Morning, everyone. Welcome to the full commission day of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I want to remind everyone with a cell phone, if you would silence that for us today. At this point, I'm going to ask Jason Maxedon to lead us in the invocation and our prayer.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jason. Danette, if you'll call the roll, please.
Tommy Woods.
Here.
Angie Box.
Here.
Monty Ballou.
Here.
Stan Butt.
Here.
Wally Childress. Here. Bill Cox.
Here.
Chris Devaney.
Here.
Jimmy Granbery.
Here.
Steve Jones.
Here.
Brian McLerran.
Here.
Kent Woods.
Here.
Hank Wright.
Here.
Jim Ripley.
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Danette. Commissioners, you have been provided with a copy of the minutes of the last meeting. Everyone's had an opportunity to look at those. I will entertain a motion with reference to the same. Have a motion from Commissioner Granbery. Do I hear a second? Second from Commissioner Woods. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are adopted. Well, we're going to start this morning by recognizing an integral part of what we do, and that is the Tennessee Wildlife Federation, which has been around in this state for a long, long time, and as I said, is absolutely an integral part of what we do, and I don't know how we could do what we do without them. They've involved families at the high school level, at every level. They coordinate the interests of various groups around the state to give stakeholders a true opportunity to participate in what we do. They're part of the Hunters for the Hungry program. And this is their 75th anniversary. And so at this time, I'd like to recognize Director Wilson to say a few words and present a resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Probably just be better just read the resolution because there's so much that can be said. It's already in here because it used to be it was originally the Tennessee Conservation League, and then several years ago they changed to Tennessee Wildlife Federation. But as Chairman Ripley said, they are an integral part of our agency. They do a lot of the things that we can't do as an agency. They're on our behalf, so we appreciate everything that they do. And not only just professionally, but the friendship too. So we got a really good working relationship with everybody there. But I'm going to read the resolution. Whereas Tennessee Wildlife Federation was founded as Tennessee Conservation League by community leaders, sportsmen, and outdoor writers in 1946, who gathered to establish a new organization to restore the integrity of all Tennessee's wildlife and natural resources. And whereas the mission of the Tennessee Wildlife Federation is to lead the conservation, sound management, and wise use of Tennessee's wildlife and great outdoors. And whereas Tennessee Wildlife Federation is one of the largest and oldest organizations dedicated to the conservation of the state's wildlife and natural resources through stewardship, youth engagement, and public policy. Whereas Tennessee Wildlife Federation has seen tremendous growth to a diverse group of sportsmen, wildlife watchers, and other outdoor enthusiasts, all united by their interest and excitement for Tennessee's great outdoors. And whereas Tennessee Wildlife Federation coordinates the interests of various groups, including supporters, businesses, or organizations and legislators, and mobilizes public response and support on issues and policies affecting Tennessee's wildlife and habitat. And whereas involvement of families in outdoor activities is very important to Tennessee Wildlife Federation, and through the Tennessee Scholastic Clay Target Program, Hunting and Fishing Academy Program, and other outreach, the engagement of youth in these activities help them develop into adults who appreciate and care about the great outdoors. And whereas Hunters for the Hungry program coordinated by the Tennessee Wildlife Federation with charitable giving by whitetail deer hunters, local wild game processors, and various food banks help annually feed thousands of Tennesseans in need. And whereas Tennessee Wildlife Federation has been instrumental in teaming with the Tennessee Wildlife Resources agencies, communities, landowners, and other organizations in the fight against chronic wasting disease. And whereas Tennessee Wildlife Federation has been a valuable partner in R3, which stands for Recruitment, Retention, Reactivation of hunters, anglers, boaters, and target shooters, whereby securing future funding for wildlife conservation. And whereas Tennessee Wildlife Federation has been a great partner with Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency and other organizations to conserve and improve natural resources and protect Tennessee's rich heritage of hunting and fishing, and now therefore the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission and the Wildlife Resources Agency do jointly proclaim sincere appreciation for the close bond and working relationship with Tennessee Wildlife Federation through the many years of seeking and achieving solid wildlife management principles in general, and offer heartfelt congratulations on the occasion of the organization's 75th anniversary to the service for the people and the natural resources of the state of Tennessee. In testimony whereof, the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission, meeting in regular session, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Friday, June 18th, 2021, have caused to be affixed the Great Seal of Tennessee, Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. So, one thing I didn't say in here, but also that they're very much involved in Asian carp management, control, and coordinating all the meetings that we have with not only just Tennessee, but folks in the Tennessee River system, states of Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi too. So we appreciate all that they do for that too, Mike and others, and Lindsay, if Lindsay's around. So thank y'all, and that's, Mike, if you'll come forward, and presidents.
I'm gonna call on them here in a moment
Okay.
to say a few words. Let's go ahead and present the plaque though at this time, so
Okay.
if you'll come forward.
No, I'll switch over. You can stay there. I'll come over here by Bob. We'll get the chairman first.
Well, first, a big thank you for the relationship that we have between our two organizations, our common goal of enhancing the outdoor experience and wildlife for this state, and our continued cooperation with each other. This is a great honor that you've recognized us in this manner, and we greatly appreciate what you do and want to continue to work together to enhance the outdoor experience and provide for this state the way we've done. It's just going to keep getting better, guys, and we really appreciate it.
For those of you who don't know, Bruce Fox, who just spoke, is the chairman of the board of the Federation.
Well, very quickly, I would like to recognize the team that makes our organization run. Because while you see a lot of me and you see a lot of some of our people occasionally once a year, we have our senior staff, all of them here today, and they're the ones that lead all the departments within our organization and make things happen on a daily basis. And so I'm going to recognize, well, our manager of video content is Ben Dongera. We've got our director of stewardship, Chris Roberts, our director of programs, J.W. Worthen, our director of policy, Kevin Botts. We have Hunting and Fishing Academy manager, Taylor Martin, who you all know. Back on the back, we have Director of Communications, Nate West. We have our East Tennessee Field Coordinator for Hunting and Fishing Academy, that's Jeb Beasley. He lives in Knoxville here, locally. We have our Manager of Administration, Tony Lance, who keeps everybody sane and running, and especially me, Kendall, takes care of us. And then last but definitely not least, our Director of Finance, Candy Sacrapani, which keeps us all out of prison. So she does a great job. She runs a very tight ship, and it's really helpful. Just briefly, I would mention, I grew up knowing this agency from the time I was born. My father was one of the original hunter ed instructors that started in 1969, and so I feel like I've had a partnership with the organization for a long time. But more importantly, the organization, the Tennessee Conservation League, now the Tennessee Wildlife Federation, I would echo back to Chairman Ripley what he said is we could not do what we do without your help. And I think the partnership is a real testimony to we each bring things to the table that are additive. And so collectively we're able to do a lot more together. It makes me proud to say I think we have the best wildlife agency in the country. I'm biased. I'm 7th generation Tennessean, but I've seen a lot of them, traveled the country, lived in lots of different places. I would put this one up against anybody, from the ground up, the technicians, all the way to the top. So thank you so much for the recognition, and we look forward to doing a lot more great work with you guys and gals.
Thank you, Mike.
And I'm Kendall McCarter, and I'm the Chief Development Officer of the Tennessee Wildlife Federation. And thank you for this tremendous recognition. We appreciate it. I've been on board for about 13 years. You see Mike a lot. You don't see me as much, but we collaborate and work together on a lot of these things. And so I feel like I know you guys, but I don't know you guys because we talk about it all the time. But today was we really wanted to have you see who is behind us with our team here. And we're very proud of this team. We're very proud of the organization we've built. We've grown quite a bit. And even though we started in 1946, and this is our 75th year, we really operate more like a startup. Our organization staff has tripled in size in the last 10 years. Our budget has almost tripled. Our reach, the folks that we work with and communicate on a daily basis is off the chart. And really, it's a sign of what's going on here in Tennessee, the interest, and that all begins here with you. But I'll say this, all of us that are in this work, we are standing on the shoulders of giants. People like Nash Buckingham, who was one of our founders, Lucius Birch Jr., Babe Howard, Clark Akers. These are the people that paved the way for us to be here today. And without what they did, we couldn't have what we have now. And I hope that 75 years from now, there will be people talking about the work that we get done. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
One last thought that I wanted to bring forward and show. There's a gentleman in the room that's been on the board just as long as I've been involved in the organization. I've been there 25 years, and I want to have a special recognition. Stand up, Terry. Terry is the reason we have Hatfield Knob Wildlife Viewing Area. Some of you have seen him. He came before the commission. He is driving force behind the rebuild of the tower. He's happy to give you an update other than to say the steel producers are a little bit behind schedule, but he's one of our longest serving board members and a dear friend, and he lives here in Knoxville, and we're proud to call him a board member and wanted to recognize him as well for all his contributions.
Thank you again. I'd like to have a picture taken with all of the commissioners and the folks from the Federation. Can we do that, or should we wait till later? And I guess I ought to ask Lee. Can we all get in over there and let's do that. Let's take a picture with everybody together.
Exactly. Ripley, where do you go? I go in that way.
All right. That proved to be a little more of an exercise than I anticipated. All right. Again, thank you all for all you do. We sure appreciate you. I want to recognize Taylor Martin with the Federation Hunting and Fishing Academy update. Taylor?
Thank y'all. You have already heard a little bit of Hunting and Fishing Academy, or you've heard it mentioned, but I want to start out by saying thank you for giving us the opportunity to come here today to talk about the Academy, kind of talk about the work that the Federation does. We've been partnering with the agency for quite a while with our Scholastic Clay Target program, and Hunting and Fishing Academy is a relatively new partnership with the agency, and we're pretty happy to report on it. So I know many commissioners may be somewhat familiar with the Academy. I know some of your kids have attended some of our events. Other commissioners have even donated their time or their property to allow us to hold events, and for that we're very thankful. But I really want to start out today by talking about something you might not know about the Hunting and Fishing Academy, and that's the fact that it wasn't always called the Hunting and Fishing Academy. I started with the Federation back in January of 2018, and then it was just called the Youth Hunting and Fishing Program. And it wasn't its own standalone initiative. It was really just an offering we gave to our Scholastic Clay Target program athletes to give them an opportunity to hunt and fish. And it was worked really well in that aspect, but about 5 or 6 months after I started, our organization saw the need for a standalone program. There was this movement that was gaining a lot of speed nationally, and we wanted to be at the front of it. And we thought in order to do that, we needed to rebrand. And after that rebranding, we came up with the Hunting and Fishing Academy. And we chose that name pretty strategically, mainly because of the word academy. We chose academy because what is it? It's an institution of learning, and we want people to learn how to hunt and fish. But that presents a pretty unique issue, and that issue being people don't learn to hunt and fish like they learn everything else. They don't learn hunting and fishing like they learn things in school. We know that people need support. They need people to help them do that. Now, if you're like me, you grew up hunting and fishing your entire lives. You may not remember too much about that first time you went hunting. I know I don't remember what the weather was like or how many ducks we harvested, anything like that. But there is one thing that I remember, and that's who I went with. For me, that person was my dad. And I'm sure if we all think about it, we really remember who that first person was that we went hunting with. But we know not everybody has that person in their lives or those people in their lives. So that's what Hunting and Fishing Academy is all about. And that got me thinking about a book that I've read recently. I didn't go to school to be a wildlife biologist or anything. I kind of fell into this job backwards, being a business major. So I read a lot of books. One of the books I've recently read is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Gladwell is a New York Times bestseller. He's written quite a few books, but this one might be his most famous, and it's really well known because of the 10,000 hour rule. The 10,000 hour rule being that it takes 10,000 hours of practice in something to become an expert. And that's really all this book gets remembered by. But it has a lot of other ideas in it, one of which is that people need help getting where they're going. Gladwell sums it up in the quote of, "People don't rise from nothing." And hunting and fishing is no different than that. It doesn't matter how much of an expert you are or how successful you are in something, you had somebody help get you there. And that's what Hunting and Fishing Academy is trying to be. We're trying to be those people that help people become hunting and fishing no matter what phase of life they're in. Now, it's been mentioned a few times that that movement I mentioned earlier was the R3 movement, which stands for recruitment, retention, and reactivation. And we all know this. It's really the big driving force of getting people involved in the outdoors. But when Youth Hunting and Fishing Program was a thing, and even in the early days of Hunting and Fishing Academy, we were really only a recruitment program. We didn't focus on the other two R's. But I'm proud to say now that we do have offerings that address those. Our oldest part of the program is our recruitment piece. This is largely run by a group of about 130 trained volunteers that we call Hunt Masters. These Hunt Masters run events all across the state teaching people how to hunt and fish. They can range anywhere from a half-day experience to 3 days. And this is really geared towards those people that have never hunted or fished before. And in the case of our youth events through this model, we don't only teach the youth, we also teach the parent, because we know if you don't teach both of them, neither one of them are ever going to go hunting again. You give that kid a good memory for the day, and that's really about it. But the whole point of this is so they can enjoy hunting and fishing for a lifetime. The next piece, and this is something we've added in November last year, is our virtual series. Virtual series are online workshops where people can log in during the week for about an hour at a time and learn new skills. We cover a pretty wide range of topics, anywhere from late season deer tactics to how to call a turkey in the spring. And we've had pretty good success through this series that I'll talk about a little later. And then the last piece is reactivation. Last fall, we had our very first adult-only program. When we first launched this program, I really thought it was just going to be new hunters, people who've never hunted or fished before. But what we saw was there was a lot of people that had hunted as kids and got out of it because of life, or they hunted in a different state and moved to Tennessee, and they just didn't know what to do. But we launched this program last year and had a very good success with it, and it was all done on public land. We took these people out on public land just outside of Nashville and taught them how to access it and how to hunt it during deer season. So everything I've talked about is kind of the program as a whole, but I wanted to touch on some numbers that we've done over the past years. Those first 3 years you see there, those were all back in the Youth Hunting and Fishing Program days, and you can see it kind of had an ebb and flow to it, and that really fluctuated due to the participation that we had in the Scholastic Clay Target Program. But last year, we did 386 participants. So it was our best year yet, feeling really good about it. But the big difference of that year was that we received funding from the commission that year. It was the first year of our 3-year grant, and we were able to make an investment. The investment being in 2 new employees for Hunting and Fishing Academy. Jeb's here today. I have another guy, Chris Hearn, who is in West Tennessee, and the hiring of those 2 people really helped us expand the program. Last year would have been a little bigger, but we all remember what happened in March of last year. That's when COVID happened, and at the time we were only running in-person events. So COVID kind of shut us down. We missed all of turkey season, and turkey season historically is our 2nd largest season for in-person events. But looking at this year, we were able to increase even more to 580 people in our in-person events. We've added more fishing and small game events to really hit that number. But this graph is really good, but it's also kind of deceiving. It's deceiving because it's not the whole picture of what we've done. Everything's the same across the bottom, but like I mentioned earlier, we've also added our virtual series. Virtual series this year, we've done just over 1,400 participants through that since November, bringing our total to over 2,000 participants for this year. With talks with the agency, we were really looking to hit 1,200 participants by the end of this year and 2,000 by the end of year 3. So we've already surpassed our year 3 goal. Now, what do these numbers mean? We've done a lot of people, but we know through our surveys that 33% of the people who have interacted with us have never been hunting before. That's our recruitment piece. And 95% of the people who filled out our surveys want to go hunting or fishing within the next year. So if they want to go hunting and fishing, it's up to us to just keep them doing it. The problem is never with people wanting to hunt. It's just that if they have the ability to go. And in the next year, we're going to continue to give all of our current offerings, but we're also partnering with a number of different organizations. One of the most notable is our partnership with Georgia Wildlife Federation with Academics Afield. That's going to be a college-based initiative that we launch at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville this year. And we're hoping to expand that to historically black colleges and universities within the next year as well. But of course, our biggest partner is the agency. We've worked very closely with Jennifer Wisniewski, Mike Parsley, and Jason Harmon there in the back to spread the word about Hunting and Fishing Academy. At this point, all of Hunting and Fishing Academy events can be found on the Go Outdoors Tennessee website or on the TWRA On The Go app. So anybody in the state can find us and find an event close to them by searching for their zip code. So that's really the overview of the program, what we've done up to this point. But it really all comes together, I think, with this quote from a parent and a participant from one of our events, saying we came with no experience, but now feel as we could try ourselves. And like I said at the beginning of this presentation, we want to be those people that help people get into hunting and fishing, no matter what phase of life they're in. Because the problem isn't that people don't want to hunt and fish. It's just that if they have the knowledge to do it. So we hope that Hunting and Fishing Academy can provide that. I really appreciate y'all allowing me to come up here and speak to everyone today. You all have packets with a lot of information about the Hunting and Fishing Academy in front of you. It has a summary of everything I've talked about today. And if you ever have any questions, my card is in there, so feel free to reach out. But I really appreciate the opportunity. And thank y'all for supporting the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate that very much. Yes, sir. Mr. Cox.
I heard, in the kids who want to, or the families who want to return and hunt again, do you have any feedback that they say that of any roadblocks that might prevent them from doing that? Do they know where to go? Is there anything that prevents them from returning to do that besides coming back to your?
Yeah, so in all of our surveys, we also ask the question of what people think their biggest barrier is to joining hunting and fishing. And from those surveys, we know that people say it's access to land, which in reality, we see that as an imaginary barrier. There's plenty of public land all across the state available for people to hunt, but people just aren't aware of it or they don't know how to access it. And we make sure that some of the resources we give people after they attend an event with us is links to all the agency sources to find those public hunting lands and know how to access them so they can hunt those in the future.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to make a comment, which shouldn't surprise anybody, but when I first got on the commission, Mike Butler had just gotten the appointment to the executive director of the Federation, and in my memory, the Federation was broke and in danger of going away. And I think Monty Holcomb and some of those guys saw the wisdom in hiring Mike, and he has grown the Federation and hired Kendall to fundraise and JW for programs and all the other good people that work there. But and I consider Mike a friend, but I want to brag on him for the job that he and his staff have done in 20 years to bring the Federation from 0 to 100, and you've done a fabulous job. Now sometimes your ego gets in the way a little bit, but you have done a fabulous job, and I want to say that publicly. Yeah.
Well, you just blew it up a little bigger there, Bill. Other comments or questions? Yes, Commissioner Buck.
Of the group that you broke down in the slide there, was there any assessment of the kids who didn't have the means or access to the proper equipment? Is that usually provided?
Yes, sir. So at all of our events, we tell people the equipment that they should bring if they have it. You'll be surprised of how many people that don't hunt that have a deer rifle in their house. But in the case of someone has nothing, we do provide everything from camping supplies to all the gear they need for the hunt that day. We have loaner firearms, ammunition, calls, camo, anything that they could need for a weekend or day experience.
Right. So they don't feel inadequate when they're with the whole group that has that. So that's great.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, I'd like to say
Yes,
just one
sir.
thing. I met Mike years ago when the SCTP program just first got started, and I had a team in Henry County, and that's one of y'all's absolute, and I know it's a collaborative effort, but the Scholastic Clay Target program wouldn't be what it is today if it weren't for the effort that you all put into that in the initial years, and I think that's an absolute Tennessee success story, and they're one of the biggest states represented, at the national shoot. So, thank you all for that hard work.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Box.
Yes, I want to just stop and just say how crucial just thought about it. The Hunting and Fishing Academy, how that's so crucial with the children and the parents together. And that's just, it's very important for upcoming license holders and families. That's important, so I appreciate y'all doing that. And I also want to say, Mike, can't say enough about him. I don't think he sleeps. I think he just works all the time. He's great knowledge and super intelligent and hard worker, and he and Kendall make a great team. And I can't say enough about JW, just an awesome team. So thank y'all for everything you've done.
Thank you.
We're going to have to back this down. We won't be able to get him out of the room. Other commissioners? Yes, sir.
Taylor, I'd like to say that you guys are really on to something. I have witnessed fishing, duck hunting, deer hunting, who knows what you got, and dove hunting. So who knows what else you guys will have my kids into before it's over. You guys handle everything with professionalism, and you do a wonderful job with that. The challenge I'll give to other commissioners and other outdoorsmen, if you want to grow this sport, pitch in with these folks and help them. If you got a farm you can share for a youth weekend, or you got a trout stream handy, go visit these events, see what they're doing. Get out there, roll up your shirt sleeves, and help them. And also been involved with the Scholastic Clay Target program. I've been involved with about everybody there. So a lot of great folks and doing a lot of great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments or questions? All right, I don't see any. Thank you for being here.
All right,
We
thank y'all
appreciate it
again.
very much. All right, yeah, let's give a hand. Despite my joking around, Mike, I want to echo what everyone said, and this goes for you, particularly in your agency. You all do a tremendous job. You've been a great help to me as I came on to be chairman. I often turn to Mike just for information because he knows so much more than I do about the programs that are available in this state, the various entities that are involved in them, and I appreciate that a great deal. We're so glad you're with us, and congratulations on 75 years, and we're looking forward to the next 75. All right, Lieutenant Cape Taylor, call you up at this time. This is with reference to Proclamation 20-05, manner and means of hunting, taking, and trapping. We discussed this in committee yesterday, and at this point, I think it'd be appropriate if there's a motion regarding the proclamation.
Mr. Chairman, the Wildlife Committee met yesterday and voted unanimously to bring this forward to the full commission for approval.
All right, take that as a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Steve Jones. At this point, is there any discussion? And this is full commission discussion for questions, issues, comments, whatever you might have. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Cape, isn't it 2105? Didn't you say it was 2105 now?
The current proclamation is 2005. The updated, with the updates we have, once passed, will be 2105.
Okay, thank you.
All right, very well.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions or comments from the public? All right, hearing none, all in favor of adopting Proclamation 20-05 to become 21-05?
Yes, sir.
Manner, means of hunting, taking, and trapping, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a comment if I could, please.
Okay.
I should have done this yesterday, but thought about it last night. Yesterday we was talking about the quail restoration and all this, and last year I got the opportunity, and I think Steve Jones got the opportunity too, to go to Kiker Bottoms. And I just want to commend Bill at Kiker Bottoms. Back when I was a younger man, I used to quail hunt a lot with my uncle, and back when we had quail, and I thought I knew a lot about quail until I got to talking to Bill. And he is a book of knowledge, and my concern is he told me that he was going to be retiring before too long. And that really concerned me because he has put Kiker Bottoms where it's at, and I've not been to the other two, and I'm sure we got great managers there, but I would just like to make a recommendation to the agency that before he retires, we find somebody that y'all can, say, tuck under his wing and follow in his footsteps to keep that program that he's got going at Kiker Bottoms in place, and not let him retire and then try to find somebody to step in, because the way he's got it going, I didn't see a thing in the world that needs changing. I really want to give him a shout out for what he's done there. And Bobby, I think it'd be a good idea to get somebody following in his footsteps before he retires to keep that program at that management area going.
Thank you, Commissioner Wood. We will look heartedly at and far and wide to try to find somebody to fill those shoes.
All right, thank you. Are there any other comments in the wildlife category?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll second what Commissioner Woods was talking about, and I would encourage, you have to be going to Kiker Bottoms to get there. It's not on the way to anything. But if you're like me and you grew up listening to quail in the morning this time of year and hear them during the mating season, it is like the sweetest music you can imagine. And I would imagine are they still whistling right now? Or are we getting a little bit late? But I would encourage the commissioners to go down there during the mating season, May and June, and just it'll rekindle some old flames, I guarantee it, if you grew up quail hunting. But that was one of the things that concerned me when we started this quail initiative, or really started pushing the quail initiative, was we have all this institutional knowledge within the agency, people like Bill Smith and others that remember what wild quail hunting used to be about. And the time is right for us to move forward before some of those guys decide to retire. So I'm glad that the commission and the agency are moving towards that opportunity and taking advantage of the knowledge that those folks have.
Thank you, Steve. You know,
One more quick comment there.
Sure. Go ahead.
Me and Commissioner Ripley are going to either next week or week after next go down there and tour it one more time. But if any of the other commissioners would like to come and join us, just reach out to us and we'll be glad. Like I say, Steve, we're going to have to meet up somewhere and try to find that place, but we can all do that.
I know that Commissioner Butt is going to go with us, I think, so we need to work with him. But seriously, any other commissioners who want to go on that trip, that I think it'd be very instructive. You know what you're saying, Steve, about the excitement, and I've hunted wild quail, and there's really nothing like it. You know, you're behind these beautiful bird dogs that are on point, but you know when the birds are going to come up. They always surprise you. It's a beautiful thing to see a covey rise. It's one of the most exciting sports that there is, and so I'm just very, very excited that we're pursuing something that is very, very important. All right. Yesterday, in my absence, my able vice chairman led a discussion regarding Emergency Rule 1660-02-07-07, and we'll recognize Lieutenant Colonel Glenn Moats. And let's see, Kent, you were absent as well. Tommy, I'm going to let you, if there is a motion to be made here, as Vice Chairman of Fisheries, I'll let you go ahead and yes. Okay, all right.
You should have
This
a-
is what
you
this is
should
what
have-
you get when you're not here. So we're doing a rulemaking hearing then,
There should
aren't
be a
we?
statement.
Where's Tracy? He usually sits here. Oh, there you are.
I was trying to remember if I don't remember.
Okay.
Bringing that up, but
Well, I
they would argue with the
apologize.
chair.
I apologize for that. I should have
No
picked
problem.
up on that. All right.
Thank
So, this is a rulemaking hearing before the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission to consider an emergency rule amending Rule Chapter 1660-02-07, Rule Number 1660-02-07-.07, which deals with rules and regulations governing the operation of vessels on Center Hill Lake. My name is Jim Ripley, and I will conduct the hearing. And the order of proceedings will be as follows. The Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency staff will present information on the proposed rule. Commission members will be permitted to comment and ask questions. Members of the audience will be permitted to comment and ask questions. Staff members and members of the audience wishing to speak should identify themselves before speaking. I reserve the right to limit comments and discussion, especially in cases of repetition. And at this time, I will recognize Lieutenant Colonel Coates to explain this rule to us for the first time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So Yeah, this amendment will expand the current no-wake zone around Cookville Boat Dock Marina on Center Hill Lake. And you can see the language there. It will just encompass the narrow channel that the marina sits in on Center Hill Lake. The reason for this is the increase in boat traffic and also paddlecraft in the area. Next slide, please. I don't know how well you can see that, but the two red lines would indicate where the zone would be. And if you see the yellow line there, that's the distance from the dock to the opposite shore, which I believe that says 400 feet. So that's quite a narrow area for those boats traversing that channel. And in the interest of public safety, we think it would be best to have a zone expanded in that area.
All right, thank you. I misspoke. This was previewed at our last meeting, was it not?
No,
Or was
we
it
had
Old
you had
Hickory?
another one at the
Okay,
last meeting. It was
okay,
a separate
all right,
one, yes.
All right. All right, at this time, are there any questions from commissioners? Questions or comments from
Yeah,
commissioners?
I've got a question about the, the wording in this seems like this is going to be an automatic in the future. If a marina expands, the no wake expands automatically. Is that right?
Not necessarily, Commissioner. This is because this marina did not expand, but that zone, that channel there is a narrow channel, and the increase in boat traffic, and there's a lot of paddlecraft there. The recommendation was just to expand that zone to encompass that entire channel.
Well, my concern, and I'm glad to say that, but my concern is that we don't have any control over marina expansion, and I'm not sure whether the Corps or whoever approves this considers the no wake zones and that kind of thing, but if it was automatic, I guess my concern would be that they could just expand marinas here and there and cut off entire sections of river of any recreational use.
Yes, sir. I think we would take each of those on a case-by-case basis, and I don't think it would be an automatic no-wake zone increase. I think it's a case-by-case looking
Okay.
at each one of them, sir.
Thank you.
Other comments? Yes. Commissioner McLerran.
Was this the no-wake zone that was enacted due to the lake level being lowered while they were working on the dam?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in effect, this would be leaving it where it was during that low lake level?
That's the way I understand it, yes.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Other commissioners? All right. If not, at this time, any members of the audience who wish to be heard on this? Members of the audience? Seeing none? Any staff members that need to speak to it besides you? And I don't see any. All right, so at this time, I will entertain a motion regarding this emergency rule and its passage. Motion from Commissioner McLerran.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Box. All in favor of adopting the rule signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, it's passed. Thank you very much.
Also, one final thing, I think there was a request just to update the commission on our current boat accident statistics. So year-to-date, we have 49 total reportable boat accidents that we've investigated, which included 10 fatalities among those and 13 injuries. So,
How does this year compare to this time last year?
I think it's pretty close to what it was last year. Last year, I know we had a high number of incidents, and 10 fatalities by this time is fairly high. So it's kind of on track from what it was last year.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you,
Thank you.
Lieutenant Colonel. All right, well, I guess that's the end of our regular business. I want to thank the City of Oak Ridge for having us, great hosts. Steve Jones had us to his beautiful family farm where they used to raise strawberries. Gorgeous place with 1.5 miles of river frontage on the Clinch River. I wasn't very successful fishing, but I had a good time. It's a great place, and they've gone from raising strawberries to raising quail, I think is what they're aiming to do. They put it in warm weather grasses, and they're excited about that. Thanks to all of the Region 4 folks who put this together for us. As always, to our road crew, Don King and his folks that always do a great job. We appreciate you, Danette, all of your folks, and Bobby. And Mr. Director, do you have any final comments at all, or anything you want to say? All right. Well, we're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.